God blessings everybody, this is the Gaming Christian with another video, and today I'm going to show you my Super Nintendo collection. I'm going to try to talk you through it as fast as possible because blah blah blah, that's what I do. So let's just get it started with the collection. First I'm going to show you my cartridges, and then I'm going to show you the boxed ones, you know. So first I have the loose cartridge that I have a lot of. I got more than the boxed ones. So yeah. First is The Adventures of Batman and Robin, a great platform gamer. There's a lot of action elements into it. It's a pretty hard game to be fair, but it looks great, but it plays great too. And if you are a huge fan of the Batman the Animated Series from the 90s, then this is an excellent video game. For you guys. Next up is Arkanoid Do It Again. Maybe this is one of the better Arkanoid games. Who could say? It's a very fun Arkanoid. It's like Breakout. What was it? I'm so sorry. I need to check. Breakout for the Atari 2600 and for more consoles. It's like Breakout, but then with power-ups. Next up is my first American cartridge I have. I have a total of 2 American cartridges. It is Final Fight. And the reason I can play this with this thing, it was one of my first videos where I showed you guys this. This is a action replay where you can play American games on a European console, Super Nintendo, in this case. Final Fight is what I find strange about the American cartridges is that the title is here, while the European ones didn't have any titles. It was so bizarre. And the European ones look like the Japanese ones, so the Japanese also didn't have a title on top. But the Americans one did, and that's kind of strange that we had no title from above. Not if it really matters, though. I mean, you can always check. You can always, take them out and just look. But, it's pretty strange. But yeah, Final Fight, a great beat-em-up, maybe one of the better beat-em-ups in history. There's a lot of good beat-em-ups in the history of video games, and Final Fight is just one of them. It looks great, it plays great, wonderful. Also made by Capcom, great developer, you name it. F-Zero, a great racing game. This is also a childhood game of mine. I've played seriously the crap out of this racing game when I was a kid. I really never finished most cups, because you have cups in this race, or leagues. Is that how you want to call it? But yeah, it's like Wipeout. That racing game where you drive cars that float over the street. Well, F-Zero is just like that, but F-Zero is just as awesome. It has great music, great graphics, but the gameplay is fantastic. One of the better racing games for the Super Nintendo, even though you have a lot of good racing games for the Super Nintendo. Mario Kart. This is also a fantastic racing game. Next up is the Great Circus Mystery starring Mickey and Minnie. You have infinite lives and well, not really infinite lives, but you have infinite continues in this game, and you can finish the game in a day. That's what I did, and not because I'm good, but you constantly have continues in this game. So it's a really easy, short game, but it's a fun little platformer. The reason why I have it is because of the childhood reasons. I had this game in my childhood, and I had a lot of fun when I was a kid, and I had a lot of fun a few months back. No, I think it was 6 months back when I finished this. But it's just a fun little game, and I enjoyed it. Next up is another great game. One of the best games of Ocean, because Ocean hasn't made too many great games. This is Jurassic Park for the Super Nintendo. It's a game that's from the top, but not really from the top, but more like from the side top. And the game has, a huge world to explore. There are some levels where you can, do from the first person view. Of course, you fight dinosaurs, obvious. And Jurassic Park is a great game. Nonetheless, because you have a huge world to explore, like I already said. And personally, I think it's a pretty good game. Maybe it is not as good since I remember it, because I think you need to find like 14 acts. That's your first thing you need to do. And before you can't save or something, or you can't have a password for it. Of course, we have cheats now because of the internet. I mean, back in the day, you didn't have cheats nor internet. Well, you had cheats, but not internet. You need to find cheats in these magazines. But Jurassic Park it's really a hard game, but it's also a lot of fun. Maybe a lot of you guys have already found all eggs in the beginning of the game, but personally, it's not really my idea of fun. But I really still think it's a great game. Next up is Killer Instinct, maybe one of the best fighting games for the Super Nintendo. There's a lot of great fighting games for it, like of course Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Power Instinct was it? That's also a pretty good fighting game. A whole bunch of fighting games I'm still forgetting. This is Killer Instinct, a great fighting game, great animation, made by the guys that has also made GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64, made Donkey Kong Country. It is a fantastic developer, Rare. It's too bad ever since they went to Microsoft. It's really sad. I mean, a bunch of those guys who had like huge talents and they really couldn't make great games anymore. Killer Instinct is really a great game. And it is just a great fighting game with great graphics, great gameplay, and it's a pretty challenging game nonetheless. And yeah, what else can I say? It's also a childhood favorite of mine. Next up is another great game, people, in the Super Nintendo library. This is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Maybe one of the best Super Nintendo games ever created. Maybe one of the best Zelda games ever created. Maybe one of the best action-adventure ever created, even though there's a lot of good action-adventures in the history of video games. This is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. I still have to play this game. I've still gotten through it, but there are so many games to play. As I've already showed you my collection, there's still a whole bunch of collections that I still need to do. And The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, I still want to play this game, but we'll get through it, trust me. But yeah, huge world, side quests to do, great gameplay, challenging gameplay, fun gameplay nonetheless. Big dungeons, a fantastic game. Let's see if I'm doing it right. This is The Lion King. Yes, a very solid platform, Super Nintendo platformer. I played this game on MS-DOS back in the day. I had like a cheat so you can have like a level select. The Lion King, a very solid platform game. Fun, good levels, challenging. It's very hard. It's a very hard game, but a good game nonetheless. So I try to be as short as possible. Next up is a personal favorite of mine. This is Magic Sword, an arcade classic. It's a pretty good, you know, port, if you know what I mean. A pretty good, you know, remake. It's not really a remake. It's more like an arcade port, and it's a great one nonetheless. I mean, the arcade port, you can. There's a lot of more enemies on screen, and it wouldn't slow down. In this game, it does slow down sometimes, but this is one of my personal favorite Super Nintendo games. But I have a lot of personal favorite Super Nintendo because I grew up with the Super Nintendo when I was a kid. And I discovered Magic Sword when I was a grown-up, and it's really my type of game. You know, you can collect a whole bunch of stuff, you can fight with a whole bunch of enemies, and you can even power up in some things, you know, like power up your health bar and stuff like that. But Magic Sword is, you know, you go from floor to floor, and on every floor you need to fight enemies. But these floors aren't all that long, no, they're very short, but the thing is, the challenge about this game is to get as high as possible and defeat as many enemies as possible and score as much points as possible. So this is truly a classic type of game, you know, score the highest points and get to the highest floor. But I really love it. There's a lot of RPG elements into it. And between floors you see a small cutscene where you talk to your companion or you talk to yourself. Let me see if this is the right one. Yes, another game that is a childhood game of mine. This is NBA Jam. Yes, I played this game when I was a kid. I loved it. I love to play almost every match there ever was. I love to play with certain teams. The dunks are crazy. This is a great game. There was even a remake like a year or two back for the Wii, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, I think. I don't know for sure. But nothing holds a candle to this game. This game is fantastic. It had great controls. It was 2 against 2. It wasn't like 5 against 5. No, it was 2 against 2. And this is a childhood favorite of mine. And also a personal favorite game ever. You know, of all my games that I've ever played, this is one of my personal favorites. And I think... No, I don't think. I just know that this is my favorite basketball game ever. So yeah. Great gameplay. Wonderful. Next up is a not-so-favorite game of mine. This is Pilot Wings. Yes. Technically a good game. Personally, I don't know. Maybe I should give it a try. But I haven't played this game too much. I only have it for the reason that the game is technically a fantastic masterpiece for the Super Nintendo. It's not as good as the Nintendo 64 version, Pilot Wing 64, obvious. I mean, almost every game for the Nintendo 64 had a 64 behind it, after the title or so. Sorry, my English. Pilot Wings is really a fantastic game, nonetheless. But maybe I have to give the game a chance. I've played a ROM back in the day. I even played it at somebody's house, but I don't know. Not my cup of tea. This game is a personal favorite of mine. It's technically not the best RPG ever created. It's made... I'm not so sure which game came earlier, Secret of Mana or this game, Secret of Evermore. I don't know which game came first. From what I understand, this game came before Secret of Mana. But it has like the same system of Secret of Mana. I mean, everybody knows Secret of Mana. I mean, come on, one of the biggest RPGs ever created. And Secret of Evermore is a bigger favorite of mine than Secret of Mana. Although I see that Secret of Mana is technically better. But I like this game a lot more because I grew up with this game. I finished it once. I love this game. It's an action RPG. You have these worlds to explore, items to collect, you can level up, you can use magic, which are not called magic, but you need like elements and stuff like that to call the magic and stuff like that. You can get different kind of weapons, you have a companion with you, challenging bosses. This game looks great even. It's a pretty good game, and yeah. It's not the best kind of game. It's not really the best game ever, but it's a very solid game, and it's a personal favorite of mine that would make it to the top 10 of my favorite games ever. Because I bought this. I think this wasn't my first Super Nintendo game, but it was one of the first Super Nintendo games I've ever played, and I was hooked in a second. So you could say that this game is a personal favorite of mine. Next up is Starwing. Easy to get, cheap to get, but what a great game overall. This is technically a fantastic game. It looks great. It has the Super FX chip, where the graphics can be more 3D. So it is pretty much 3D. And I've tried this game, you know, when I was a kid I played it at somebody else's house. But when I bought it on myself, I played it, and it is fun. But it's never going to be a huge favorite of mine. But that's just a personal thing, you know. It's a fantastic video game. Next up is Street Fighter 2. This is not Super Street Fighter. This is not Super Street Fighter 2 Hyper Edition or Hyper Fighting Championship Edition, whatever. No, this is the original Street Fighter 2. An excellent video game. Street Fighter 2 had a lot of versions, and the same counts for Street Fighter 3. But Street Fighter 2 is a classic. Yes, people, and I'm not so sure. I think Super Street Fighter 2 was better than this one. Even I'm not so sure why, but you know, Street Fighter 2 is also a big classic, and it was just cheap. It was easy to get. This is another classic. Yeah, people, I know my classics. Next up is Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Yes, people, I also have that in my collection. This game is a little bit better. What can I say? It's yeah, a little bit better than Street Fighter 2. Also a classic. Yes. Next up is another huge classic, people. This is Super Mario Kart. Super Mario Kart is a classic, and it has done so much more than all the other Mario Karts. I mean, sure, Mario Kart for the DS was great. Mario Kart Double Dash was a fantastic game. The Wii version was a very good game, even though it was the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. You have Mario Kart for the Game Boy Advance, which was a pretty good game. You have so many versions for the Nintendo 64. You have Mario Kart, which is a very good game, but I heard somebody say that because of the controls... Oh, I disagree. The fact that this is the best Mario Kart, trust me. The impact that this game has is so much bigger than the other Mario Kart games. Trust me, the other Mario Kart games are very good and very excellent and great in presentation, but this game had such a huge impact. Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo. Next up is Super Mario World. What else can I say? One of the best platform games ever. This game is one of the huge platform classics, just like Super Mario 64. Mario is just a great series, isn't it? I mean, you have so many great Mario games, except for the one for the CDI, and you have, of course, Mario teaches typing, and Mario is missing, and Mario's Time Machine, and ooh, that looks terrible. But this just makes it all up for it, just like Mario 64, and of course Mario Kart, and you have Mario Tennis, which was a very good, solid Mario game, and you have Mario Bros. 3 for the NES, and 1 was fantastic. So, Super Mario World is a great game, maybe, and of course, because the next game on the list is Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. This game is even a little bit better than the first Super Mario World. Oh my goodness, but this game did everything perfect. From gameplay to levels, from presentation. This is another classic. I'm not so sure. I don't think this is a forgotten game. It's just a game, you know, everybody remembers Street Fighter. Everybody remembers Mortal Kombat for whatever reason, which Mortal Kombat is no way better than this game. Everybody remembers, you know, Gran Turismo. Everybody remembers this and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But Yoshi's Island Super Mario World 2 is just as great of a game than all the other classics that we always talk about now these days. From remember that game? Yeah, that game was great. Super Mario Yoshi's Island. It's just as great of a classic. And I've played this game. I haven't finished it because this is not a game personally for me, but I do know it's quality, and this is a quality game. Maybe one of the best games ever, but you know, like I'm saying, that is debatable, but I would say that this game should not be forgotten. We are almost through my loose cartridges. This is Super Soccer. Nothing too special. Not the best soccer game ever created. Maybe not even the best soccer game for the Super Nintendo itself. This is another childhood game of mine. I play this. Here in Holland you can get this game really easy and really cheap. And it's a personal favorite of mine. What can I say? Next up, the last cartridge I have loose is Tolo Carnage. Yes, this game is... What can I say? This game is hard as nails. I barely made it to through the second level. I think there are 5 levels in total, so there's not really a lot of levels. But this game is it's just hard, but it has fun gameplay. It's like Smash TV, you know that game, or the other game. What's the other game called? Robotron 2084. Yeah, that game. You also have that game, and that game where you also walk around and you shoot in every direction with your other, you know, buttons, because Robotron 2084, you with the left stick you walk around, and with the right stick you shoot down, you shoot left, you shoot right, you shoot up, and this is just that game. I mean, with the directional pad, with the D-pad you go left, right, and you walk, but with the buttons, how do you say that in English? I don't know. With the buttons, you shoot up, right, left, down, and you name it, and wherever enemies are, and this game is ridiculously hard. But it's a great game nonetheless. It's a childhood game of mine. It's not really a personal favorite, but I love it anyways. I have it in my collection, so I want to keep it in my collection. Sorry if this video takes also very long. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get through it faster now. Now I'm going to show you the boxed SNES games. This is Donkey Kong Country. Another childhood game of mine. I played this game when I was a kid. I finished it a couple of times right now and when I was a kid. And this is just a classic, great gameplay, great graphics, it looks great, and it plays great as well. Next up is a game that I bought recently. This is Mega Man X. Yes, the American one. This is the American version. It's in, as you can see, this is a sealed package. Yeah, I want to keep it in here just to keep it fresh. It was very cheap. I bought this for 25 euros, and this game is supposed to be very expensive to get. But it's a great Mega Man game, people. I have Mega Man 2 for the NES, so I'm going to show you that in my NES collection. But Mega Man X is a great game nonetheless. It looks great, but it plays great. It has fun levels, and maybe one of the better Mega Man games ever. But you have a whole bunch of great Mega Man games, and this is just one of them. Next is a game, a childhood game of mine, but also a very good game. This is Mickey Mania. This is also one of my oldest boxed NES games. I didn't bought this when I was a kid. I bought this when I was a grown-up and when I was starting to collect. But Mickey Mania is a great platform game. It is hard, let me tell you that, and there were certain parts where I just need to get hit or else I just wouldn't get through it. But yeah, the game looks great, but it has also good gameplay, And some of Mickey's most famous animated shorts ever in the history of Mickey are the levels here. So Steamboat Willie, his first appearance in animated history, is like the first level in this game. It's 3D. The presentation is fantastic, but it also, it also plays great. It is just a fun game, and it's a childhood favorite of mine. Next up is one of my most expensive Super Nintendo games I bought as a grown-up. This is Secret of Mana. In good in box, there's still even the. I'm going to show you guys this because, trust me, this is another quality game like with Mario World, Super Mario Kart, Yoshi's Island, stuff like that. This is a quality game. Besides Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo, I have to still buy the game maybe one day. Besides Chrono Trigger, you have Final Fantasy VII. This game is also one of those fantastic RPGs. This is the map. I even got the map with it, and this is a cool looking poster, as you can see. But yeah, it's just an amazing game. This game, maybe you don't have to like it, but it's technically a good game. This, people, is a quality game, and I recognize it. And yeah, it's a sorry. It's a European version, so this game actually came out in Europe, unlike Chrono Trigger. Too bad. I'm not gonna complain about it. It's just something we have to it's just something we have to respect. But Secret of Mana it's a fun game, but it's a collector's item. It's just great to have this classic of a game, and this is Super Bomberman 2, another great classic. Bomberman out of itself is fantastic, and maybe this is one of the better Bomberman games, even though I haven't played Bomberman too many times, but what I've read that this game is pretty good. It's all in Italian. I'm reading now, and it's all in Italian. Why? I've German packaging, and it's all in German. This is in Italian. I'm sorry about that. Well, this is Bomberman 2. This is a great game to have. I have it in package, and it looks great. And yeah, it's your typical Bomberman gameplay. I will try to get through it fast enough. This is a dusty version of Super Mario All-Stars. It has Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3, and the Lost Levels, of course. This is just a great package. It wasn't too expensive. It have all these stars here, as you can see, and this is just this is maybe one of the best packaging in the history of video games. They're just remakes of those old games, so this is really a great packaging to have. I played this when I was a kid, and I was amazingly sold to this addictive game. And you have like 4 games for the price of 1. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, Super Mario All Stars. Super R-Type. It's like a great R-Type title. It is a very solid R-Type title. It looks great. It is just as challenging as an R-Type game can be. It's just a great, solid R-Type game. Maybe it's not the best R-Type game, but it's one of the better R-Type games. And R-Type is just a great series of shmups, if you know what that is. It's just a flight shooter. Just a great game. My last game that I have in my collection is one of the most beat-down boxes. Kind of sad though, but also a game that's in my personal favorite, that is in my childhood, a game that's a personal favorite of mine. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 Turtles in Time. A lot of people about my age know this game. We've played this game. I finished this game like a million times because it's not very long and it's not very hard if you put it on the lowest setting. It's there's a whole bunch of modes like time trial, training, and stuff like that. Of course, you have the head mode yeah, this is an all-time favorite of mine. I'm just glad I have it in my collection, and I played it. It works, and they have made a reshell version or something of this game. Sorry about that. They have a reshell version of this game, and with new graphics and stuff like that. People, it's not the same. It's absolutely... The graphics aren't even that more good looking. I mean, 2-dimensional is most of the time even more good looking than some of the 3D graphics now these days. And this game looks a lot more polished. But nonetheless, I really love this game. I played this game when I was a kid. Great levels to do. It was fun to play. It had like a futuristic level. It had like a dinosaur level, a spaceship level. I love this game, people. I seriously love this game. It's one of my all-time favorite beat 'em ups, and this is one of the reasons why I liked Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when I was a kid. But this was one of those reasons why I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because of that specific game. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry it took so long. I tried to keep it short, but sometimes blah blah blah. You just keep on talking with every video game, and sometimes games are so good you really have to tell why the game is so good, or why the game is just quality, fantastic video games. I'll see you guys next time with some more. If you haven't clicked away, thank you so much if you watch this. I will not try to upload everything at the same time so you can watch it easily. I'm sorry about it. See you guys next time with some more videos of my collection.